The woadling leads them towards a hollow in the trunk, talking as they go. I was sent here to retrieve a special book as well. They didn't tell me, of course, but it contained a spirit, trapped, kept near death. If the witches knew how to trap such beings, Elmsroot shudders. I released her from her cell and discovered she was far from the only one here. They round a corner, and nestled in a nook between two branches is a camp with small dwellings constructed from towering stacks of books. More than a camp, a home. Not just for Elmsroot, but enough space for half a dozen people at least. The Teardrop Spirits seem to be delivering their books to the centre of this tiny village, where a pale woman sits on a stack, reading intently. Her white hair flows around her as if underwater, and as she spots them, she jumps to her feet, clutching the book close, eyes wide. Titch freezes in response, and Drift growls a threat. Okay, let's draw a disposition for this new character. I have in mind that she's initially very anxious, so that'll flavour whatever result we get. 3 of spades is hostile. At Drift's growl, the woman reaches out with one hand and a branch of the giant tree descends into it, hardening into a leafy staff before breaking off like ice, leaving the woman armed with a deadly-looking spear. Levira, wait! Please, be calm, Elmsroot calls as leaves swirl around the woman. Now, let's ask the Oracle. Does she listen to Elmsroot? Queen of Hearts is a yes and. So no combat just yet, sorry. Yes and what though? Let's draw an advantage. 5 of clubs. Extra time. Okay, interesting. I got an idea for that. It might take a bit of time to pay off though. It takes Elmsroot a while to calm the highly agitated Levira, while Titch and Drift wait at a respectful distance. Eventually Titch looks to Drift and says, I think you should go and apologise. Drift chirps and stalks over to where Levira and Elmsroot are sitting on a pile of books. He cautiously approaches, then rubs his cheek against Levira's leg, purring. She looks down and smiles, tentatively reaching down to scratch his head. Elmsroot leaves Levira and the nightcap to get acquainted, and sits with Titch. It has been difficult for her. You called her Levira, Titch says. It's not a question. Elmsroot nods. I and many assumed that Levira was perhaps a town or an authority, but I now believe this place was named for her. Titch feels a chill spreading across the fabric of their arms. She's the spirit you mentioned then? Elmsroot nods. The first of many. Usually the spirits opt to leave this place once they are freed, but not Levira. She has a deep connection. Alright, so I've got an idea of what that connection is, and I want to know if Titch figures it out here. So let's set up a check. A card for the difficulty, 7 of clubs, and for the risk, 2 of clubs. So that's a total of 12. This is quite a passive check really, we're not using any items or fancy role-playing to help, so the impact die can stay at a d6. And since we're rolling our d6 willpower for this, it's very unlikely we'll succeed. I can increase those odds to a more reasonable number by burning a card for an extra d6. Which I think I will do, because Titch is well educated and has a chance here. So here we go. A 13, 2 6s and a 1. You won't see it sadly, but one of those 6s was spinning on its corner for ages after the other 2 settled. It was quite tense. So we gain an XP and move on. Titch gasps. The tree, the connection. Could it be possible that Lavera is a weaver spirit? That this tree inside a library, inside a mountain, is a loom tree? A tree with roots in the tapestry itself, a tree that spans all realities, a tree that might allow someone from song to travel to the realm of dream or dusk. No wonder the Coven had big plans for this place, and they'd need to approach it cautiously, because they'd need the tree's weaver spirit on side. That's why they're not coming here en masse. That's why they're keeping its location hidden. The thoughts come fast, racing through Titch's mind. They're sitting on a loom tree. Titch can barely focus on whatever Elmsroot is saying. I've lost count now. It seems at some point in the sunlit past, someone figured they could bind spirits to these books, trapping them, coercing them. Any book leaving here might be a prison for such a spirit, and any book leaving here might contain the knowledge of how to carry out this unspeakable act. All right, Titch says. I understand. You're going through the books one by one, checking for trapped spirits. Then why don't you just quickly check this one and we'll be on our way? Elmsroot shakes his head. I can't. Only Lavera was able to make herself known to me through the pages of her book, and only Lavera can find the others. But it takes time, a long time. Titch nods. And that's why you've been here for so long. The tattling resists the urge to place a hand on the tree's bark and feel for its threads. No book can leave until this task is done. There are, as you saw, a lot of books. Well, the head librarian doesn't seem to mind. Elmsroot shrugs. The head librarian is a librarian, after all. He assumes you'll bring the book back when it's due, but we both know you won't. That's fair. So you have a choice. You can leave the book here, and one day, when our work is complete, I will inform the witches they may return. Or you can try to take it, which I would not recommend. Or I could copy it. You could. That would take you some time, I imagine. And there is still no guarantee I would allow you to leave with the copy if I felt there was a chance that it might contain the secret of how to bind the spirits. It stands to reason that this knowledge is not in the Cloudlight University, so any book they send someone to collect has a higher than average chance of holding that secret, especially since the book they sent me to collect, he nods over to the spirit, who's still petting Drift, was Lavera's. That would imply to me that the witches might already know of this possibility and want to gain that knowledge. You're very logical, aren't you? Titch says, quietly wondering at the truth of his conclusions. Does Elmsroot know Lavera is a weaver spirit? Probably. He seems to have spent a long time thinking about all this. If the Coven had acquired a weaver spirit trapped in a book, would they have freed her like Elmsroot did? The tattling sighs deeply. So hopefully that's really pushed this moral dilemma to the forefront. And while Titch makes their decision, I'm going to draw a mentor prompt to see what else is going on. Two of Hearts. Introduce a complication. Was this not complicated enough? Fine. What complication? Let's draw one. Eight of Spades is bolstered. A group comes to an adversary's aid. Maybe I should have kept writing. We don't really have a solid adversary per se. Except There is always one in this setting, the chained god Valgus who shattered the sun, and his corrupted servants, the Shadows of Tomb. They stalk marmoteers through the Wildernight, attacking anyone who strays outside a settlement. There's always a chance you'll encounter them in an area with a risk rating, and I did give this area a risk rating. There's some rules for whether they appear under the travelling section, but I haven't been using the travel rules. And they're quite a big threat for our little witch, so I'll ask the Oracle. Do shadows appear? Queen of Spades is yes and. Right then. So not only did the shadows follow us in, but there's lots of them. Titch's thoughts are interrupted by the head librarian appearing from behind a branch, tentacles waving erratically.
Alright, confession please. Who let the shadows in?
Shadows? Elmsroot asks, barky brows furrowing.
Students are one thing, but I draw the line at shadows. And they're resolutely refusing to leave. I was quite polite too. What a disaster. They always make such a mess when they catch a student.
I'm sorry. They must have followed me in, Titch says.
And what are you going to do about it? The head librarian asks.
How many are there?
I'm not at liberty to discuss the whereabouts and number of students on the premises. If they came in with you, then I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to leave. It's all in the rules.
A tentacle produces a piece of parchment from nowhere.
Yes, right here. Library Code of Conduct, Section 5.
I can help.
Lavera's voice is soft but shaky as she and Drift join the group.
I can misdirect them, allow you to slip past, but you must leave, now.
And you must leave the book, Elmsroot adds. Titch hesitates, then nods. The tattling places the book they were clutching carefully onto a nearby stack. Thank you. You have done the right thing. Titch isn't so sure about that. Now, let's give Titch a bit of a reward for this. They might not deserve it, but I think Elmsroot and Lavera appreciate Titch's tough decision. So let's draw an ingredient. 7 of diamonds is crest crown. Long associated with divination, crest crowns grow on the trunks of mature trees and have feathery leaves and clusters of tiny white or pink flowers. Gain visions about a specific person, place, or event. That's cool and makes sense. And you know what? Maybe I'll roll an item too. There's a fun item generator that I've been wanting to use where you roll all the dice. So, a d4 is a 1. That's terrible. It gives the item a d4 impact die. The d6 is 4, which gives the item the sacred condition for a +2 modifier. That's good actually. That effectively improves the impact die to somewhere between a d6 and a d8. The d8 function is a 2, strength. That's good, I guess. Titch could do with some more of that. D10 quirk is 4, feels warm or cold to the touch. D12 material is 9, glass. Interesting. And D20 object is 5, a sword. That's cool. A sacred frosted glass blade that chills anything it touches. So that you are not leaving empty-handed, take some crest crown with you. It grows well on the tree here. May it aid you on your travels. Elmsroot opens an ingredients pouch and offers Titch a handful of tiny pink flowers.
Thank you.
Lavera half steps, half hovers forward.
I'm sorry you must leave us so soon. Remember us well, and do what you can to protect our work here, now you know what's at stake. And remember, we could simply let the shadows kill you.
Titch isn't sure how to respond to that.
So, take this as a show of good faith, as protection, as strength, and as a symbol of our trust. I give you part of me." From Lavera's hip, she unbuckles a small, silvery scabbard and pulls from it a translucent white short sword that appears almost like an icicle. Fog falls from the scabbard and blade as she displays it, resheathes it, and hands it over to Titch. Titch hesitates before accepting the blade. "Thank you, Lavera. I wish you well here, and hope to meet again in a friendlier era." Titch winces at all the rhymes. A short while later sees Titch and Drift carefully making their way through the dark rows upon rows of bookshelves toward the hidden entrance. Titch clutching the frosted blade before them, and Drift's softly glowing eyes casting just enough light to navigate the maze of books as they pad quietly, cautiously, and with bated breath. The library is quiet now. The rumbling subsided. Only Titch, Drift, and the shadows stalk these halls. The head librarian's words ring in Titch's ears. "They always make such a mess when they catch a student." Now, to set an appropriate difficulty for this challenge, I think it makes sense to use the Shadows of Tomb adversary stats. The pertinent stats for now are the RS or Resolve score, which is 3, and the DR or difficulty rating, which is 10. So to escape, we need 3 successes, and we really don't want to get caught because a single shadow can take us out in one hit, probably quite easily. So we're currently trying to sneak through the dark halls, knowing there's something out there hunting us. We're pretty good at sneaking, but not good enough. With a D10 dexterity and a D6 from our Veil Serpent Shawl, that's less than a 50% chance of success. What we do have, though, is quite a powerful spirit on our side drawing their attention, which I think we can represent by stepping up the impact die to a D8. Okay, here goes. It's a 15. Phew. Right, okay. So we get an XP, and I'll draw an advantage too. Ace of Diamonds, Guiding Light. A soft glow reveals paths, treasure, or danger. Perfect. Titch waits at an intersection between the bookshelves, and Drift dims his eyes, plunging them into total darkness. There's a soft clicking from somewhere ahead that sends a chill up Titch's spine. After a moment, though, a rhythmic thumping sounds from somewhere off to Titch's right, accompanied by flashes of light. Lavera. The clicking intensifies, and judging only by the rush of air past Titch's face, a number of shadows sprint towards the noise. A soft clicking remains, though. These are not unintelligent creatures. Titch slowly lets out a breath, then spots something in the dark. A dim blue light near the floor of a corridor ahead, hopping from left to right. One of the Teardrop Spirits. Is it signaling to Titch? No shadows this way? Alright. Trusting the tiny teardrop, Titch and Drift slink in its direction. The Teardrop Spirit bounces happily as they catch up, and Titch crouches, heart pounding. "This is why they recruited me," Titch thinks to himself. "I can do this. I've always done this." Way back before the cloud cover never found Titch, they'd had a reputation for sneaking out beyond the safety of the village's boundaries into shadow territory. No cajoling or disciplining had stopped them. The travelling marmoteers had appreciated Titch's skills, though, employing them as a guide numerous times. This is no different. But something about the enclosed space certainly feels different. Titch feels for the shelves next to them. It doesn't have to be different, though. They lean over and whisper to the Teardrop Spirit. "Hey, little friend, would you be a godsend? Follow a shadow and show us where it goes." The spirit hops twice, then bounces away around a corner.
Drift, you think you can make it up here?
Titch whispers and starts to climb a bookshelf. Time for another roll. Dexterity again. With a stepped up impact die from the role-playing feat of getting the spirit to mark the shadows in the darkness. This is very Midnight Muscadines, like the motion tracker scene from Alien, except the tracker is a little bouncing spirit. So, a D10 and a D8 again, and I'm going to give us a card for all the rhyming. Do I want to burn it? Tough choice. I think I'm going to save it. I might regret that. Phew, that's a 13. XP, and do we draw an advantage? No, we're already in quite an advantageous position, I reckon. With ragged fingers, Titch carefully feels for each handhold in the darkness. A soft noise tells him Drift has jumped up here with ease, but the bookshelf is twice Titch's height. Slowly, Titch pulls himself onto the top of the shelves, lying prone and peering into the darkness. And sure enough, a faint, bouncing blue light patrols the rows, stalking for prey.
We can time it. When the light disappears behind the shelves, we can jump to the next one. If you use your highlights, we can just go in a straight line, right to the exit.
Titch feels Drift's tail beat against them in response.
Okay, ready? Go.
Another roll. One more and we're free. Now, this is a good plan, but Titch is kind of assuming that there's only one shadow in the room. So what I'm going to do is ask the Oracle, and that'll inform our impact die this time. And I want to try and phrase the question so that the yes answer is more beneficial. So, is Titch right to assume that the shadows only left one to guard the exit? 2 of diamonds. That's a no and. Okay, so not only do we not get to step it up, we'll step the impact down to a D4. That is rough, but here goes. Dexterity and a D4. That's 6. At least we get a card. Timing their jumps carefully, Drift and Titch work their way along the rows of shelves until at last, up ahead, when Drift flicks on his lantern eyes, they can make out the exit. What was once a balcony that leads out onto the mountainside. It beckons with the faint glow of starlight and flora. Just one more jump, but that's when they hear it. A growl, ancient and menacing from right beneath them. Titch slides to a stop, Drift colliding with them. The tattling scrambles to hold on, but to no avail. They fall into the darkness below. I think it makes sense that the consequence for that is the shadow gets to react. Let's have a quick look at their abilities. They get 2 actions. That's the AC number at the top right. The abilities are pretty nasty too. Their long reach skill easily has enough damage to one-shot us. This is going to be unpleasant. As Titch falls, it feels as though they're being wrapped in the weave, spinning, threads binding around them, tangling. They draw a sharp breath, but it's cut short by the weave tightening around them, constricting, constraining. They can't move, can't breathe, can't see. Panic sets in. And then they land heavily, knocking the wind out of them, and in the next instant, a gigantic dark blade slashes out towards them. Okay, very quickly, we've just gained our first condition from the Shadow's Nightmare ability, Afraid. How it works is that it takes up an inventory slot until we clear it. Then we lost an endurance point during the fall, and finally, the Shadow used its Shade Spear to attack both Titch and Drift. I'll roll 2d10s. The lower value will hit Drift, and the higher value hits Titch. Oh no. That is a 2 and a 10. Good news for Drift at least, he's not too badly hurt. Titch, on the other hand, since we're down to 6 endurance, we have to reduce that damage by at least 5.
Our protection is D4, so that is not possible. Unless we burn the rest of our cards. That lets us roll 3d4 protection. We have to get 5 or more, or this campaign could end quite early. That's a 9, so we only take 1 damage. Titch flinches away at the very last moment, feels the blade tear some of their threads before deflecting upwards off the Veil Serpent shawl. The dark spear swings around and Titch hears Drift yelp in pain. Feeling a rage rise and compete with the fear at the sound of Drift being hurt, Titch draws the frosted blade and leaps towards the darkness where the spear originated. So this will be a dexterity roll and a d4 plus 2. Actually, I'm going to step it up to a d6. It was given to Titch for this exact purpose, and Titch is very motivated right now to save Drift. I'll only step it up once though because of the afraid condition. That's a 12. Plunging the icy blade into the darkness, Titch hears a hiss as the shadow recoils. They don't let up the attack. Again. That's 11 this time. And again, another 11. Titch stabs and stabs again at the servant of Valgus until they find themselves attacking only air, and the only sound is their own ragged breath. "Drift," Titch whispers. The headlight eyes glow and Titch rushes to him, checking him over. He's missing a patch of fur and has a small scratch but is otherwise okay. Titch throws their arms around him, then pulls away. "Quick, we've got to go, we've got to..." In the darkness, the clicking sound returns, and Titch spots the glow of the Teardrop Spirit behind a bookshelf. "Quick!" They scramble up and rush to the balcony, leaping over the rail onto the mountainside. Sometime later, Titch and Drift are walking through the Wildernight in silence. Titch rests a hand on their satchel, contemplating Madame Glass's lessons from their training. "There are many tools of our trade, novice Titch. This cloak is only one of them, but it will help you learn the others. You don't need a magical shawl to prevent someone from seeing something right in front of them. You don't need a jam to make them hear what they want to hear. Your hands, your words, can be just as effective." Titch squeezes the satchel, a deep sadness welling up. "Remember back in Elmsroot's camp when we drew an extra time advantage? Well, I think now is time for a flashback to that moment in the tree." It takes Elmsroot a while to calm the highly agitated Levera, while Titch and Drift wait at a respectful distance. "I think we have an opportunity here," Titch whispers to Drift, who looks up at where the Tattling is sitting on a pile of books, watching Elmsroot speak softly to the spirit. Titch scans the pile of books around them and spots the perfect one, before glancing back at the other couple. Levera watches them warily, but much calmer now. Titch sighs, looks to Drift and says, "I think you should go and apologise." "Okay, time for a check. 3 of diamonds is a DR of 8. 6 of spades for the risk rating. That's still an 8. This is a dexterity check, and I'm going to step up the impact die to a D8, as well as burn a card for an additional D8. That's 13, a success and an XP." As Levera looks down and smiles at Drift, Titch takes the opportunity, quickly, subtly picking up the book they'd spotted, one of a similar colour and size to Viason's On Shadows and Stars. And with the new book covering the motion, they let Shadows and Stars slide into their satchel. When Elmsroot looks over and gets up to come and speak to the witch, it's already done. The book's switched, with Elmsroot none the wiser. Thank you ever so much for watching. I'm really happy with that ending. A lot of what was in the library came from that one moral dilemma prompt. Well,
two of them really. The game was really telling me to lean into that. Thank you loads once again to this month's Ko-fi supporters. And if you'd like to support what I do and feel able, head on over to ko-fi.com/cozyrpgreviews. Next week is a review week, so if you haven't already, please do subscribe and do the bell thing to find out where our adventure next takes Titch the Tattling Witch.